Hello, and welcome back to Sukasa. But anyways, boys, it's been a while since I've seen y'all, and it's been a while since I've made some content. But I figured this would be a fun one because I watched the video. Someone was like, I'm such a Mario fan, like the biggest one there is. I'm gonna rank him perfectly, and I'm like, no, you are. Your opinions are wrong objectively. Oh, I'll get into it later about what opinions I have. But I definitely have opinions about this, and they're gonna be fun. Can't wait to see what yours are. In fact, if you actually do disagree with some of mine, give me some feedback. Tell me in the comments. What do you think I said wrong? Like, oh boy, there's gonna be some fights over this. Without any further ado, let's start it off. And what better way? No. What better way to start it off than with the original Super Mario Bros. For the NES, it's the classic, the thing that started it all. The start of 2D platformers and specifically Mario in general. And honestly, it's a solid game. It's a pretty solid game, actually really, really fun. Kinda clunky, it's aged a little poorly, which, that's fair. The game is what, like... Is it 30? It's 35 years old, because I remember they did the Mario 35 thing. And this game has a lot that it has good for it, but it's just kind of aged. However, even with age, I still think it's a solid beat. Like, it's good, but the games that come after it just iterate on it and do it better. And this might be subject to change, depending on how, how things shape up, but this game is pretty good. Pretty good. Nintendo, for your first one, you actually did very well. Second one, Mario Bros. 2, also known as, I think it's Doki Doki Panic in Japan. This isn't actually the real Mario Bros. 2. This game is, as I said, it's a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, which is an entirely separate game. Because the original Super Mario Bros. 2, now also known as Lost Levels, that game had some problems. One of them being, hey, this is way too hard for a casual audience. Because I've played that game, it is brutal, pretty fun, but absolutely bullshit. And that's why they're like, you know what? Let's just hit with Mario Bros. 2. It's not the real one, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good, But as for this one, Doki Doki, it's a solid game, has good platform elements, but it doesn't actually play super interestingly. It's kind of boring. Like, there's people who like it, and kudos to you. It's not a bad game, but it's just kind of average, and that's why I think it's a solid C tier here. And so, with that, we get off to a much better game than Doki Doki, aka Mario Bros. 2. Much better game than the originals. We got Super Mario Bros. 3. This game introduced the Koopalings. It introduced a bunch of very iconic power-ups for the series. This is actually a super solid game. The only thing that holds it back is its age. It has aged poorly, graphically or otherwise. And specifically, we're talking about the original one, the NES version. There are other ones like the Game Boy Advance version, or we'll get into All-Stars or some other collections that will actually have a much better version of the game, both graphically and mechanically. But for what it is, game is aged kind of poorly graphically, but its mechanics, still pretty good. Still pretty good. They're solid. And it's a solid A tier. It's a good side-scrolling Mario. Definitely one where if I'm like, hey, you want to play one? Play this of the originals. Or at least I would say that if it weren't for Super Mario World. Undoubtedly the best of the original side-scrolling 2D ones. It is absolutely phenomenal. And it has aged so beautifully, like a bunch of other SNES games. Because it's got that nice 16-bit art style that just screams polished and good. It's got fire soundtracks. It introduced Yoshi. This game is really, really solid, and I heavily suggest, if you haven't played it, I mean, if you have an emulator or NSO, even though I don't support NSO, play it. Play it. It's actually a really solid game. I have a copy of it around here somewhere. Wait, let me see if I can find it. Because I have the Game Boy Advance version. Wait, give me a sec. Alright, well, I found it, but it's not in the best shape. It's It's gone through a lot of hell. Here, wait, let me turn off the green screen. Oh. Wrong one. So, as you can see, I found it. It's not gone the best. It's a little hard to tell with this. Let me turn off the green screen. That thing's gone through hell and back. This is an old cartridge, and it shows just how much use it has. This game is phenomenal, and I heavily recommend it if anyone has the ability to play it. And it's just really good. Go play it. Now, the next game we got. This game is actually a very interesting one. It's the Super Nintendo, and it's Super Mario All-Stars. This is a collection of Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, and Lost Levels, aka Super Mario Bros. 2. And it takes them and it updates their art style a fair bit, uses the SNES graphics, so they're no longer like chunky 8-bits. They're solid 16-bit, they remastered the music. It's really good. And it's a really, really good collection to have just like all of these games. Like if you're gonna play any of these games versions, play the SNES version with All-Stars. They're just way more polished and way better versions of it. Also, actually, this should be F tier, because they ain't no E's. We go straight to F. This is the American education system. Anything below like a 60 is doggy. We got Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This game is absolutely fire. It's the predecessor for like all the later games like Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi series, like any of the RPG ones. Their building blocks are based off of this. And it's a solid, solid game. The only problem with it, hasn't aged the best, which, you know, it's an SNES game. It's got its problems, but overall, it's actually really solid. Like, I'm a little blinded because I played this when I was younger, and it's, like, a really good one. Oh, there's going to be more nostalgia in this series. Don't worry about that. But overall, like, taking off some nostalgia, it's not an A. It's not a C. It's, like, it's a lower B. It's good. It's got good mechanics. It's got fun gameplay. But the stuff that comes later just outdoes it in, like, every single way possible. It's just aged. And that's fine. It's the predecessor, and it set it up for some things to come that are even better. Now, speaking of solid games, we got the reboot to the whole side-scrolling Mario. We got New Super Mario Bros. This was on the DS, and it single-handedly brought back 2D Marios in a major way. This game is fucking phenomenal. It is really, really fun, really, really good, and it's portable. And it, like for what it is, it's really good. It's a little limited because it's on the DS, but with what they worked with it, and the sprites and all that look pretty good. Like, graphically, it's not the worst game. And it's got so much charm to it. It feels like a natural successor to, like, Super Mario World, whereas, like, you had some of the spin-offs, like Mario Land and Yoshi's Island, that just don't hit, you know? They don't quite hit properly. Whereas New Super Mario Bros., super solid and completely revived the series. And it's actually one of the things that made it really popular for the sequels to come out and eventually Mario Maker. And we'll get to that. Now, if we're talking about the series, though, to continue with, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is S tier. Because you take New Super Mario Bros., which is already a really phenomenal game, and you give it 4-player co-op. This game is madness. It is complete and utter madness. You're playing with it, your friends are trying to kill you, you're all frantically trying to grab power-ups. It's just such a fun game, and it's built on the building blocks. It's built upon the basis that was New Super Mario Bros., which is already a really good game, and it made it better. There's really fun power-ups, there's really unique worlds and fun enemies. It's the only trap it falls into is it kind of follows, you know, the standard Mario thing where it's like Iceland, Desert Land, blah, 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 but, like, it's just a solid enough game that it doesn't matter. You don't need to be innovative when you've got the basics down pat. It's so good and so much fun. And I heavily recommend you got a Wii or some other ways, emulation. Try it out, get some friends. It's a super solid experience and really, really fun. Now, what isn't as fun and kind of like derivative of itself is Super Mario Bros. 2. Which, ironically enough, is I think the third one in the series. Because it goes New Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. Wii, then 2? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't understand it, but That's fine. I don't need to understand it. But New Super Mario Bros. 2, it's a fun game. The biggest problem with it is it doesn't innovate enough. The only real innovations they have is just coins. Coins and lots of coins, baby. We are going to give you a lot, which, to be fair, really, really satisfying. Collecting, like, literally thousands of coins in a level and just going like, ah, make it rain on me, boys. Ah. It's really fun. It's actually really, really enjoyable. But the rest of the game just doesn't hold up. It's not innovative like New Super Mario Bros. Was. And there's like very basic multiplayer. You have to have 2 people, 2 separate DSs, you know, or 3 DSs in this case. And it's just, you know, it's a solid game, but doesn't innovate enough. And it's just kind of, it's keeping the bar. It's still above average, but it's just keeping the bar steady, you know? Now, if we're going to talk about an average game, New Super Mario Bros. U just, it feels like it's just the same. It feels so bland. Whereas like New Super Mario Bros. Wii had this like spark to it. And it's really hard to put into words. Cause like New Super Mario Bros. Obviously, it fully reset the series. Like gave it a new spin, modern look. Wii gave it the 4-player co-op, was absolutely fun. 2 at least had a unique gimmick where it was like, you know what? We're going all in on coins. And that's fun. That's cool. I like that. But U just feels kind of soulless. Like it's just an average game. It's still fun. You still got 4-player co-op. Still got good worlds, good power-ups. And graphically, it's the best in the series. But I think it's the most average. It's the most just like, you know, it's here game. And it's average. It's a C tier. All of the games above it at least tried something new or did and innovated in all the games above it at least innovated in interesting ways, or they completely just revamped the series. So I think in that case, with the games that came before it, it's solid. If it was the first game in the series, it would undoubtedly be S, but at this point, we're kind of burnt out on the series, and it's not doing enough to actually change it, so it's just a solid C. Still fun. Play it. It's got good DLC. You can play as Nabbit and be completely invincible. That's a fun thing. It also, the deluxe version spawned a very popular character with Bowsette, and thank you, Nintendo. I've really enjoyed that over the years. But anyways, we're going to talk about good side-scrolling Marios now. And there's nothing better than just making your own levels. I'm not even going to, like, jerk it around, you know, oh, maybe it's going to be F tier, you know, everyone hates Mario Maker. No. Mario Maker is, well, it's just phenomenal. You have literally infinite replayability value. There's just nothing wrong with this game. The only thing is that some levels are made poorly, but then again, that's what happens when you give literally anyone the ability to make Mario games. Also, I should say Mario Maker 2 falls in the same category. I'm treating them basically as one thing. The only problem with this, and it's definitely the biggest problem with Mario Maker, is it completely kills the new Super Mario Bros. Series, because why would you ever buy any of these if you could just play Mario Maker? Which is a valid concern and a valid thing to think about. But I think it's worth it. I think the game, for what it is really fun. You got like multiplayer co-op, you take all of the good stuff from all of these games, and you put them together. And that's Mario Maker. And so it's a solid S tier. Not really much to say about it. Play it. If you don't own it, get it. Or, well, you don't have to necessarily get the original. Get 2 on the Switch. Better in every way. Well, except if you want to do weird exploitative stuff with like physics and geometry, then there's a few small things the Wii U version does better. But anyways, now we're on to a bit of a interesting series. This one is definitely very controversial. Because a lot of people, when the GameCube first came out, they were looking for like, ooh, this is the best new Mario game. And instead they got Luigi's Mansion. Which is just such a departure from what's normally seen in the series that everyone's just like, wait, what is this? This isn't Mario, this is Luigi. And you're not even platforming, you're just giving people the good suck, you know, just like, ah. And so, it's held a weird spot in people when it first came out. Given time, I think this game is aged like fine wine. It's unique. It's not derivative of any other thing in the series. It's completely like a fresh take. And it's, honestly, graphically, it's held up pretty well. Mechanics-wise, like, gameplay, it's solid. It's really good, and it's the best in the series. The ones that came after it just try to replicate it. And because of that, I think this is a solid, like, low A to high B. It's like, it has the problems, where games are like, I'm just like, not what people want. Which, that's the thing. It's not for everyone. But if you give it a chance and you like it, I think you'll have a lot of fun with Luigi's Mansion. And that's what makes it a high B. It's not perfect. I don't think everyone will love it. That's the only reason why I don't think it's A. I think it's just too niche to be an A. Next, we actually have one of my personal favorite series. We got Mario and Luigi. This is basically like, well, I wouldn't say it's the spiritual successor to 7 Stars, but, and by that I mean Super Mario RPG 7 Stars, but it's basically that. And Superstar Saga, it's on the Game Boy. It's just aged so well. I love this game. This is one of the first games I played as a kid. It is still in my Game Boy. Look, see this? Oh. Superstar Saga. So, as you can tell, I like this series. I really like this series. But I think I really want to put it S, but the only reason I don't think I can say it's S is because it's not the pinnacle of the series. We'll get to that later. But it's a solid game. It is aged phenomenally. It's super funny. It's super funny and like nice and witty, where the game has charm to it, and it's so nice. Partners in Time is a good game. It is, however, not a great game. I wouldn't even say it's like I could say it's like a little above average, because almost all the at least within the first 3 of the Mario and Luigi series, I think all of them are good games. I do think, however, Partners in Time is the worst one. The mechanics are way less interesting. Like, you have the babies who are just kind of annoying. The most they do is they just go, "Wah, oh Mario, take care of me." And you're just like, shut the fuck up, please. Please, just shut up. And they just become annoying. There are some fun mechanics, but overall I think the battles are worse. The map is less interesting, and it's overall just, it's less good. Is it bad? No. Is it average? Probably a little above. Like, I'd say it's like a C, or high C or low B. We'll put it high C for now. What isn't a high C, though, is Bowser's Inside Story, because this game is so good. It is basically what Superstar Saga would be if it, 1, it was made on the DS, and 2, it took everything and ramped it up to 11. Because this game, you play as Bowser. This game, you explore the full Mushroom Kingdom. This game, you have a bunch of callbacks to previous games in the series that are just super fun and cool, and the gameplay is just so refined and good. It's so good. And it's, I wish Partners in Time had been this good. But Bowser's Inside Story is by far the best game in the Mario & Luigi series. Even though I think, personally, I like Superstar Saga more, I think objectively, it's just way better of a game. And that's something I can live with. What isn't a better game is Dream Team. For those of you who don't know, this is actually the first game I played on my 3DS. And for what it is, it's not a bad game. It's probably a little bit above average. But I think it signified a big change in the Mario & Luigi series, because 1, it took away the nice pixel art style that we'd been used to, and it turned it into like this weird 3D model thing that just didn't quite work because it was on the 3DS, and it gave you a bit of Uncanny Valley. It just looked kind of washed out and it just didn't look as good. That and the sound effects, they went for a weird realistic one, which doesn't fit the charm of the game at all. Because if you've ever played either Superstar Saga or Bowser's Inside Story, the game is just so cute. It has so much charm built in. The sound effects are poignant and goofy and cartoony, and they're great. And I think Dream Team, and to a greater extent Paper Jam, just lose that. And actually, the games that are the worst off about it are the remakes of Bowser's Inside Story and Superstar Saga, which if you ever are curious about, don't play them. Don't. Just play the originals. They're technically inferior in almost every way. The only thing that they have that's better is, oh look, we have this weird off-brand like turn-based strategy thing with Bowser's Minions and Bowser Jr.'s Journey. And they're just not that fun, honestly. So play the originals. And as for Dream Team, it's like a B. It's low B. Like at that and Partners in Time, honestly. I like Partners in Time better, but I think Dream Team's a better game, objectively. But it's still not great. Now, what isn't a good game is Paper Jam. Paper Jam, to give some context here, Paper Jam came out after, like, most of these Paper Mario games came out. And, like, it came out specifically after Sticker Star and Color Splash, which I'll get into later. But it just was basically a big cuck. A big cuck for what we wanted to have in the series. Because we wanted, like, Paper Mario to be back to where it was with the original 2. Again, we'll go over that. But it just wasn't a good game either. It was just so boring. It took all the nicer... Because, okay, Dream Team had some good implementations, some good unique mechanics. It just basically didn't use any of those and then used, like, the worst things that Dream Team added. And it's just a bad game. It's like Yoshi's New Island. It's not good. I wish it was good because, like, it sounds like a super fun one. You mix Paper Mario with Mario and Luigi, that sounds like a fire combo, but instead it's just like, no, it's not. You know what is fire though? Paper Mario, the game that started it all. It's actually really interesting because this game used to be called Mario Story in I believe it was Japan. That was its name. And then they just localized it to Paper Mario because that was the aesthetic and it just kind of fit, you know? And one of the things that's amazing about Paper Mario is it has so much charm to it. It's like it's got this nice storybook paper aesthetic. It's like a pop-up book. You take it and you open it up and you just get immersed in this world and it's super cute. It's super amazing. And it also has really good gameplay. It's got a really fun story and cool, fun characters. And it's so good. I love this game. It's so cute and charming. Ugh. And it gets even better. Because the second game in the series, Thousand Year Door, takes all that and it perfects it. It is magnifique. Thousand Year Door takes literally everything that the original Paper Mario had and it iterates on it and it improves it. The graphics are slightly better, you know. The world's more interesting. You have much more likable characters. Your companions are better. The story, oh my god, the story is so much fun. And you have unique, like, gimmicks, you know, with the paper stuff. It's not like a big in-your-face thing where it's like, hey, Mario, you're paper! No, it's not that. It's just a nice thing where it's like, it's acknowledging the paper aesthetics and being like, hey, look at this. You can turn it into, like, a paper airplane or, like, a paper boat. And it's super cute and charming, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And, like, in this ranking, it's definitely up here. But just to keep it in line with, like, the other series, that's why I'm doing it this way. But it's a very good game. If you ever have an interest in the series, play the original or Thousand Year Door. Both of them are very good, and both of them are well worth your time. They're really fun RPGs, really charming. They got... Oh yeah, one of the other things is Thousand Year Door is set up as, like, a big stage play, where you're, like, on stage and it interacts with the audience. It's such a cute dynamic, and I love this game. It's so good. Oh... Play it, please. If there's any game on this series you want to play, just play this game. It's so good. Oh boy. Now we're getting into some controversy, as the Paper Mario series is wont to be. We got Super Paper Mario, which I'm going to tell you right now is a good game. Don't let anyone tell you this game's bad, it's not like the other ones. Because there are games that are bad and aren't like the other ones. But in this case, this game is good, but it does change and it does its own thing. It's very unique. And so what happened with this game is these two are like 3D isometric like RPGs. This one is basically like a 2D side-scrolling platformer with a bit of like RPG elements thrown in. And so it's very different. It's very strange if you've only played the first two, but it's not a bad game. I'd say the biggest problem with this is the characters are less interesting, like the worlds. They blend together a little bit. but I think the overall story and the gameplay are really fun and very engaging, and definitely worth playing. A lot of people, they don't like it because it's different. That's fair. You don't want to change. If you want something else, make it a different series. Don't take Paper Mario, but I think for what it is, it's worthwhile to play, and I think it's a very good game. So, try it out. You got a Wii? Got a, emulator. You got Dolphin. It's the best thing out there. Try out the game. It's really fun. It's also got a pretty fun, gimmick with the paper where you can, go 2D, 3D, and it messes around with that, perspective really well. And I think it's really fun. Oh boy. Here we are. Paper Mario Sticker Star. I think this is probably the most well-known awful game in the Mario franchise. This game is downright terrible. There are so many bad design decisions I could get into with this, but I think the one thing I have to say is just that they took all the fun stuff, the unique, interesting stuff from Thousand Year Door and the original Paper Mario, took it out. All the fun RPG elements, took it out. All the fun characters, took it out. Interesting, unique world, gone. And it just leaves it this hollow husk. That's it looks fun on the outside, but once you actually play it for a little bit, you just feel dirty, like it's empty and that it's missing something. And it actually makes a lot of sense, because if you listen to some of the designers talk about it, they originally wanted to make a game much more like Thousand Year Door, and then because of corporate meddling, it became this thing where it was oh, yeah, no. You have to go and, make it, only Toads, no unique characters. And because of that, the game just suffered so heavily. It's really boring, it's really bad, and I hate this game so much. I want these games to be good, but they're just so boring. There's some ha-ha humor in it where it's kind of funny, but overall I think this game's awful. It's objectively one of the worst games Nintendo's ever made, and it's not even funny. Now, the next game in the series, Color Splash, the problem with it, because I want it to be good, but it's still just subpar. This is a D tier game. And the biggest problem with it is that it still has a lot of the design decisions that made Sticker Star bad. It's a really boring, uninteresting combat. There's only generic Toads, although their writing is a little bit better. And I think one of the biggest things is they leaned in way too heavily on the paper aesthetic. And Origami King isn't on this list, but it falls under that too. It's a C tier. It's a better game, better writing, but it lost the charm. It's way too much
hey, did you know you're paper? Oh, I got crushed by a rock, but because I'm a paper, I just got crinkled.
And that's kind of the tone that this game has. There's nothing unique about it. There's nothing interesting. They're just kind of soulless. And that's really the problem with all three of the new Paper Mario games. There's just nothing super interesting about them. They're just kind of there. For as much as people dislike Super Paper Mario, this game had heart. This game had charm. This game had a lot of really interesting decisions about it, and it was different, but in a good way. Whereas these games are just soulless. They're so soulless, and it's so sad that that's the direction that Paper Mario went. Because it's one of my favorite series, at least within the first 3 games. And then it's one of my least favorite series within the second 3. Or the second 3. They might as well be different series, to be honest. They're just so vastly different. Hey, on a brighter note, we're getting into the fun games, and I purposely left these for last. We got the granddaddy of all 3D platformers. We got Super Mario 64. And oh boy, am I going to piss you people off. Because this game has not aged well. I was playing this recently because I wanted to try it, I wanted to have some fun with it, it's got problems. This game has not aged well at all. While it's an amazing speed game, it's actually super fun for a speed game. The biggest problem with it is just 1, graphically it looks bad. 2, it controls really funkily. It's got weird tank controls, or not true tank controls, but it's you got this weird like turnaround thing. It's just, for what the game is, for what it was like the granddaddy of all 3D platformers. It's really good. However, the game just, it's not aged well. Even despite that, it's a fun play. It's a fun play to like understand and see, yo, this is what these games turned out to be? That's pretty solid. That's pretty good. Hey. But honestly, it's like a low B to a high C. And the only thing keeping it from being a high C for me is the fact that this game started it all. And it's the reason why you have so many just amazing games that come after it. And I'm going to give it some credit for that. Being the first 3D platformer is really hard. And they just were phenomenal with it. And I think that deserves at least a B. This game, Sunshine, however, some of y'all are gonna shoot me for my opinion of this. Because this game is notorious for being rushed, being buggy, being like broken as all hell. And I love this game. It is one of the most unique and charming games in the series. Because you got like Flood, you got a really fun locale, you got just Delfino Island in general is really cool. There's a lot of fun mechanics that are done there. Bunch of interesting characters. But it's buggy, it's broken, and it's not the best. However, I think if someone was to play Super Mario 64 and then play Sunshine, you could very easily see how much they improved. And even though this game had such a fucked up development cycle, had a bunch of mistakes that added to it, it's still a really fun game, and I think you should try it. You'll get pissed off at certain levels. Don't go for 100%. That's a mistake. Just play the game and have fun with it. Because that's what I do. Also, it's a really fun speed game. It's got a lot of really unique mechanics that like build up together and movement tech that just... It's so good. It's so good for a speed game. But casually, I understand it's not good. And that's fair. That's very fair. Still better than 64 though, and still a good game though. But oh boy, is it... does it have a problem? One other thing, do not play it with Super Mario All-Stars. That game is like, that's the worst way to play it. It's emulated poorly, there's a whole bunch of errors with it, like, it's so much more buggy than the original, it's actually insane, and it's really sad that's how a lot of people view the game. Because, okay, the original game has flaws, I'm 100% honest with that, but it is not nearly as broken as what Super Mario All-Stars would lead you to believe. Because, oh boy, Super Mario All-Stars is just, it destroyed this game, and it's not even funny. So yeah, play it on GameCube or like Dolphin. Dolphin has really good emulation for it. However, getting on to another part of the, this game's also in Super Mario All-Stars. Super Mario Galaxy. This game's an easy S tier. This game is so good. It's such a solid pick. That just, takes everything that you got from 64, from Sunshine, and it creates just, magnifique. Mwah. Mwah. It's got an amazing locale, a really unique gimmick with like how gravity works and all that, and it's implemented fucking phenomenally. Oh, this game's so good. The only problem with it, which I will say, is it does change kind of significantly from how 64 and Sunshine are set up, because it's much more of like a level-based game instead of like having just big open worlds to explore like 64 or Sunshine, where it's like you go into these locales, you explore them, and you find the secrets in them. Galaxy is much more of a linear game, and I don't think that's bad, but it's different, and so that's something to make note of. But for what it is fantastic. It is such an amazing game, and I love it. I love it so much. Okay, some of y'all are gonna crucify me for this, but I think Galaxy 2 is only A. And some people are like, but it's better than the original Galaxy. I don't agree with that. I think it adds new stuff, and that's good, but I think it's also just more of the same. Like, when you play Galaxy or Galaxy 2, it doesn't feel really any different. You can play either of them. They both handle the same, they both use the same engine. The only difference is, Rosalina's not in this one, and this one has Yoshi, and you're on like a weird spaceship instead of the Galaxy Observatory. I also think that the original Galaxy is a much better like atmosphere to it, because I think the Cosmic Observatory, along with like Rosalina and like her storybook segments, those add a lot of charm and character to the game that is kind of absent in 2. And as you might be able to tell by a lot of the games I love charm, and I love how a game's feel can make it like a lot more interesting to me. So that's why I think 2, while being a good game, it's also just, it's more of the same as Galaxy. So that's why it's stuck in A and not an S tier like a lot of people will say, which fair enough. Alright, another game that's not bad, but just kind of more of the same is 3D Land. Super Mario 3D Land is basically if you like tried to take new Super Mario Bros. Or maybe like Super Mario World and turned it 3D. It's good. It plays very well. The only problem with it is that it's just kind of boring, honestly. Like, it takes old power-ups and adds them, and it's like a new, fresh take, like where it's like, ooh, 3D. Instead of New Super Mario World, you got New Super Mario 3D World. Oh, which does come up, but it's not a bad game. I just think it's average. It's actually a little bit above average, but it's just nothing interesting. But it's still a solid game. Doesn't have enough detrimental to put it into like C or D, but it's not interesting enough to put it into A or S. It's a solid B. Now, speaking of a game that you'd think wouldn't be great, 3D World. You'd think, oh, it's just going to be like Mario 3D Land, you know, where it's just like, oh, it's 3D, it's like, you know, kind of fun. No. This game is so good. While I understand if you've ever played this, just like, you know, like solo, it'd be like an A tier game. It's solid, it's really good, it adds fun power-ups like Cat Suit. The worlds are really interesting. The games are really fun. But, this game isn't just single player. This is a 4-player game. And that alone puts it up to S. Because, oh, it's so much fun playing with people. It's frustrating at times, but it is just so much fun. Because you're running around, you're playing with your friends, you're throwing them off the edge. And by far the best addition with the multiplayer is the points system, because you're all fighting for the crown. And it becomes less about, hey, can we beat this level, to I want to beat this level the best, and I want to steal the crown from you. And it's just so much fun. It's just such a fun experience, and I love it. And that along with like a really good base game easily puts this game S. Like, there's no contest. This is one of my favorite games. Also, big extra thing. If you're playing on the Switch using I guess it's like a port. It's basically 3D World and Bowser's Fury. One, you get Bowser's Fury, which is solidly an A tier game alone. That's a really fun, like, single player, like 3D World types game. It's closer to actually probably like Sunshine or Mario 64, although a little bit shorter. You also have online multiplayer, which is fucking amazing. It's so much fun to be able to take all your friends, play it, and to give Nintendo credit, most of its online stuff is really bad, but 3D World actually runs pretty well online, which is surprising, because the game, you'd think the game wouldn't, but hey, you got online multiplayer in a Mario game, especially this Mario game, phenomenal, easy S tier. And after that ranking, that leaves us with one last game. Super Mario Odyssey. Oh, this game. I love this game. I love a lot of like the content that's made around it. I love the base game. I love everything about it. However, I do think it has one big flaw, and that's the moons. Some people will take it and be like, oh, look at this. There's a whole bunch of content. Like, look at the amount of moons you got. And it's like, that's fair. But I think it's also kind of detrimental to itself, because all of the moons and all of the stuff that it gives you makes the game feel very, like, repetitive. Where you're going through and it's like, oh, here's a moon. Yeah, I got another. Here's another moon. Oh, yay, another. And you get kind of, like, burnt out on them. It's one of the reasons why I haven't really replayed it, because, like, trying to play through it again and collect all, like, 900 moons, you're just like, oh my god. It's just, it's really repetitive and boring. And that's kind of sad, because this game is really good. I just think it suffers from having not too much content, but too repetitive of content. But it's still a really fun game. And honestly, it's easily like top of A or S. And it's also a really good speed game. It has a fun gimmick with it. Cappy's really cool. I just think the game suffers a little bit on replay, because your first playthrough is really, really good. But the longer you play it and the more you do, the more you kind of realize, like, okay, this game has some problems, and it kind of puts them back. However, if you're speedrunning the game, you will love it. The game's great for speedruns. It's got a bunch of unique tech and fun stuff. So yeah. I'm going to be crucified for a few of these picks, being where they are. Sunshine and Odyssey together? Actually, no, here's my personal ranking. People are going to just fucking crucify me. But anyways, I want to know, what's your ranking? Which of these do you completely disagree with? I would like to also reiterate, these aren't ordered, except for these two. Fuck you. But, what do you disagree with? You're gonna crucify me for Sunshine being this high? I dare you. I've faced all of the criticism, and I love this game. But anyways, I hope y'all have a good day. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, you know. And, I don't know. I want to do more content that's just fun like this, so enjoy. Peace.